Hello everyone and welcome to the New York Empoleon's Week 5 Team Builder of the PBAL. We are here this week taking on Hagbones, our eternal Week 5 opponent, who was my Week 5 opponent last PBAL, last PCL, and is now my Week 5 opponent in this PBAL as well, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, if you haven't seen Hagbones for some reason before, and the Vancouver Kyogres, go check them out. Links in the description below, as are all of the opponents that I have in this season and all the people I'm not facing this season, since there are only 10 weeks and there are 16 opponents. There's no way I can face all of them. Anyway, his team is Latios, Heliolisk, Zarude, Golbat, Excadrill, Glalie, Butterfree, Primarina, Marowak, Alola, and Gigalith. So a sand team through and through. He's got that Gigalith drill. He's got Heliolisk with potentially Sandveil to take advantage of it. He's got lots of sand stuff. So how do I beat sand? Well, I mean, priority is really helpful, and that thankfully my team has a good amount of that. And also just being able to take one hit, right? Because you only want to take one hit against really, really offensive teams. Now, his defensive mons like Golbat, Primarina, which is sort of a tank there, they can definitely take a hit or two. Gigalith, obviously, can definitely take a hit or two. So you definitely have to be on like a sort of balanced position. But I think my team has a really good shot of doing well here. So we're going to lead off with the Durant. Durant here has the first impression. Finally, I'm bringing it. I know, first impression Durant is so good, and I don't know how it waited 5 weeks before it was actually in a good matchup. But Latios outspeeds. I just faced a Latios. I know how scary it was to face Latios with a Durant that didn't have first impression. So we're taking it, and we're going to have it. So first impression is really, really nice for things like the Heliolisk, the Zarude, and the Latios, which I don't outspeed. I'm actually running Adamant because Golbat is the next speed tier, and I figured first impression is good on all three of those, and I'm not going to worry about outspeeding them because I just want to spam first impression and get out. This thing is pretty much like a click first impression and get out. Now, the one really good thing about this is that first impression, I have Hustle again. I'm wide lens, so I can mostly hit my moves, but I have Hustle again, and first impression is a good move, but it's not like the best move ever against things like an Alola and Marowak or an Excadrill. So if I do click first impression as he goes into those mons, if he doesn't have sand up, I outspeed both, and Stomping Tantrum should be able to kill either one, regardless of whether I land the first impression or not, because if I miss, Stomping Tantrum gets doubled in power, and then it kills, and if I land it, then Stomping Tantrum does enough to kill. Alola Marowak can potentially survive first impression to Stomping Tantrum if I don't have rocks up, so I do have to make sure I get those up earlier in the match. His removal is things like the Latios and the Golbat, though, which are not as scary against my team, and if they're using removal, it means they're not doing something else, which is nice. Next up is my Obtagoon this week. Obtagoon be rocking out with the knockoff Parting Shot, Close Combat, and the Facade. It's a Flame Orb set with Guts, so that I can potentially Status Absorb and potentially just come in on things. Parting Shot is super nice this week, though most of the time my goal is to click Knockoff. As you may have noticed, his team hates Knockoff. It does not like it at all. Not a single Mon wants its item lost, and a lot of Mons aren't going to be able to resist it. Things like the Golbat that can come in as a physical wall are no longer a physical wall once the item is knocked off. Things like the Marowak certainly don't do anything once the item is knocked off. Gigalith, Excadrill both don't appreciate it. So between knockoff and close combat, I cover basically everything, and if they've already been knocked off, Facade just does a lot more damage. And so I figured he doesn't have a whole lot of normal resists that are not weak to one of my other moves, like the Marowak and the Excadrill are both normal resists, but my other two moves cover them, so I don't even need a fourth move. Parting Shot's good there, and it could potentially come in handy on things like the like scouting for a switch in or something like that, or the Excadrill and Sand that I'm worried about coming in hard, taking a knockoff, and then being able to OHKO back. Parting Shot just allows me to get out of that. Get out of that. Wow. I don't know why I'm really cold all of a sudden. Next up is my Girder. As usual, Girder coming this week with the Mach Punch, Knockoff, Defog, and Poison Jab. I say as usual, it's coming because Girder has been one of my kill leaders this season. It is not a usual set. This is a fast Girder to outspeed uninvested Primarina. It is going to catch that thing by surprise. It's also going to outspeed an uninvested or even moderately invested Alolan Marowak, again, to try to get that knockoff off before the Thick Club attack hits me. I can then take it so much better. But being able to get a Poison Jab off on the Primarina before it goes for a Moonblast, if it's not Specs, it shouldn't OHKO me from full. Or if it's not boosting item, it could be like Life Orb and kill as well. But Poison Jab going to be really nice, get off like 60% on the Primarina before I go down, or Scout out if it's fast. And this is my Defogger this week. I want my rocks up so bad, but if he starts setting up spikes or something, then I've definitely got to deal with it. Like Glalie could set up spikes, and that would just be super annoying, so I definitely want to have Defog available to me, but it's more than likely not going to be something I'm clicking this week. Next up is my rocker. This is the quintessential lead of my team. We've shown in the first few weeks of the season it is something that has been really, really good in that slot. Like last week when it got OHKO'd by Bullet Seed and didn't do anything. That was awesome. So this week we're going to bring a more defensive set. Stealth Rock, Flip Turn, High Horsepower, and Roar. The High Horsepower might be a little bit of a giveaway for something that's coming up soon, but we'll just talk about that in a minute. Stealth Rock, again, it's super useful against his roster. His probable leads might be like the Golbat or the Gigalith, neither of which love staring down a Swampert. Golbat could have Giga Drain, but it's probably not going to OHKO me with Giga Drain. And yeah, Nasty Plot's a scary set, like with Giga Drain, but then it's not bulky, and I can probably handle it with other Mons. So it's good to scout out what that Golbat has. And if he thinks that I'm going to switch out after he shows the Nasty Plot, and he maybe goes for another one because he's super greedy, I can just go for the Roar and get rid of him. So Flip Turn is super nice this week because once I got the rocks up, the other thing this Swampert does is Flip Turn. It comes in, it threatens whatever's in front of it, and it clicks Flip Turn. And if I think the Heliolisk is coming in, I click High Horsepower, and that's basically how it goes down. Next up is the Rillaboom. Yeah, I'm High Horsepower because I have the grassy terrain, and I don't want to have Earthquake, so that's seemed good to me. This thing is going to be holding the leftovers. Oh, I didn't mention that Swampert is Rindoberry as well, which is just helps it, take that one Giga Drain and stuff. Knock off Leech Seed, Taunt, and Grassy Glide. So I have a very specific set on this. This set with the leftovers makes it so that Iron Head from Life Orb Excadrill is a 3-hit KO. Also, +2 Life Orb Excadrill does not 2-hit KO me, or does not OHKO me with Iron Head. And I can 2-hit KO back with Grassy Glide if he's uninvested. It's a guarantee. If he's slightly invested in HP or defense, then it's not necessarily a guarantee, but that means he has less investment somewhere else, likely speed. So Grassy Glide, super useful in that particular role. Knockoff, again, this is something that just can spam knockoff. And then the Leech Seed and the Taunt were just mostly there to cover like random things. Like if this does happen to be in on the Gigalith, taunting it's super nice. Or the Butterfree, for instance, taunting it is super nice to just keep it from going for Quiver Dances or whatever. So, and then Leech Seed as a mid-game play against things like the Golbat or something can just be really nice because that's a potential switch into this, and Knockoff is just good utility, as I mentioned before, against his roster. Goal the early games, just knock everything off. Goal the late games, kill it all. And lastly, we have the Gardevoir. Gardevoir this week is going to be rocking out with Mystical Fire, Grass Knot, Moonblast, and Psychic, and an Assault Vest. It takes hits from the Latios forever. A few of these sets, I feel like what I learned is that Latios and Latios are a problem for my roster. They get ridiculous coverage. They're really, really solid, and I just need an answer to them. This thing is more specially defensive than it was last week. This thing is more able to take hits from the Latios. Yes, it could Dragon Dance. That is a scary set for sure if he's running Shadow Claw, potentially, which is why the Kasib Berry last week was nice, but I figured more likely than not Latios is going to be special this week. It just makes sense against my roster in the same way that Latios did, and wouldn't be Dragon Dance, but maybe could, and we'll see. And if it is Dragon Dance, I hopefully can take one hit. I can Moonblast and take it out. I do still have First Impression, so even if he's Dragon Dance, I can still go in with a Durant and try to kill it. And then he can't have Mystical Fire for the Durant, so, I mean, he can, I guess, but, it's more just that I'm expecting the special set, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, this team works. Hopefully, it's a lot of fun, and you guys get a good match tomorrow. I'll see you guys all back here then. Take care, everybody.